Hello and welcome back to another knife review. This is Tactical Tuesday. It's been a while, and this little beauty has been sitting on my desk ever since my good friend Richard sent it to me back in December. Richard and I, we have this long-standing tradition of sending each other a knife around Christmas time every year. And this year, he sent me the Cold Steel SRK. I'm assuming SRK stands for Search and Rescue Knife. SRK Compact. So this is smaller than the original SRK, and still a very good knife at the $50, $60 price range. And today we're going to take a quick look at it. So right off the bat, we see that this is a pretty covert looking knife. It has a very flat profile. This definitely can fit into your jacket pocket if you have a like a overcoat or something like that. It has a pretty slim profile. Uh, it comes in a secure X sheath. When I first got this knife, there was a kind of embarrassing moment when usually when I get a new knife, right? I handled a lot of knives. So I get a new knife out and bang, I can just like pull it out and do this one-handed pretty good. Well, this thing was jammed in this sheath so hard that I pulled it out of the package and then I very uh professionally like you know undo the snap, and then my thumb automatically finds the lever point, and then I go, and then it just like wasn't coming out. I was like, okay, this is kind of embarrassing. And then I grab my, uh, I grab the sheath with my left hand, and okay, it's just like, wow, this is so embarrassing. Like, honestly, it took me a good 20 seconds, and I even have to like bang it on the table a couple of times. And finally, the sheath came loose, the knife came out of the sheath. And luckily, ever since that, it just come out buttery smooth, no problem. One handed, no problem. So yeah, that was a little bit of like a personal embarrassment moment. Luckily, no one was here to see it. So as we can see, the secure X sheath has holes around like slots cut into the side of the sheath that you can loop straps through if you want to carry it hilt down across your chest. That's how I like to carry my knife. Like if I'm hiking and camping. On the back, there's also a belt loop with a Velcro and button snap closure, so you can undo this, pull it around your belt, and then snap it back together. That's very good. I actually don't like how a lot of knives, the belt loop is fixed and you can't undo it, and you just the only way to get it around your belt is to like pull the belt through the hard way. The front, we already see that there's a button snap with a strap that go around the handle, which you can very easily undo this one-handed. Although, personally speaking, I would have preferred it if the snap faces the other way. If it's open toward the away from the thumb, so I can flick it with my thumb and then pull the knife out, which is usually what I do. But with this one, you kind of have to do this with your index finger, or like, yeah, so you kind of have to undo it and then get your hand around the hilt of the knife, which is not very conducive to quick draw unless you really practice doing it. On the spine of the sheath, there's this little point where you push your thumb against when you want to draw the knife out, and that will uh, get the knife loose, and you can pull it out one hand, no problem. Looking at the knife, it has a 5-inch blade, weighs about 5 ounces. The blade length is 5 inches, and the entire length is about 9 inches. Yeah, it's a little bit more than 9 inches, but not much. The handle material is a Kray-Ex, the kind of grippy, rubbery material that you see on a lot of utility knife. The blade is finished in black and coated to ward against corrosion. And the material, I believe, is their SK5 steel, which is not super good, but a very decent low budget, middle budget, depending on your what kind of budget you have, kind of blade. I'm personally speaking, I'm not really the steel snob, so as long as the blade is constructed well, I can deal with even 420 stainless steel. I mean, you just have to sharpen it a little bit more often if it's 420. But honestly, I think for most people's day-to-day use, unless you really are some kind of like a survivalist and you depend on your knife for survival every day, I think it's kind of silly to say that oh it have to be this steel or that steel. I think most people wouldn't really notice the difference. In hand, this feels a lot like one of my other favorite utility knife, the Mora Companion knife. It have basically the same blade shape. It have the same kind of function, uh, with the exception that the Cold Steel SRK Compact is more flat. Like personally, I find that this is a little bit too small for my hand. It's really skinny. The handle is really skinny. So I constantly feel that if I have to apply pressure, this is going to be not very good for lever, which means this is actually a very nice knife for people with smaller hands or younger people or women or just generally anyone who don't have chunky hands like I do. On the end of the hilt, there is a linear hole. So if you want, you can get a linear through that. And as we can see at the bottom of the tang, where your forefinger would be, there is this kind a little bit of a guard. So when you're using this knife, your hand will not slip onto the blade, as long as you're not doing anything too crazy with it. Right. Now, one downside is most of the time, if I'm doing fine carving or detailed work, I like to wrap my hand around this guard on some knife, but because the blade goes right up to the guard on this knife, you can't do that. If you try to wrap your finger around the way I usually do it, you have a very good chance of cutting your index finger. So don't do that. Keep your finger behind the guard. The top of the spine joins the hilt in a smooth line, so you can definitely rest your thumb on the spine while you're working with this, or if you want to do the French chef grip, you can rest your index finger on the spine while doing some more detailed carving or cutting, stuff like that. But keep in mind, the knife is not very big. So if you have bigger hand like I do, then you will find that your thumb and middle finger go very close to the edge. So be very careful with this. It is very well balanced. I can see that this would actually throw really well, although it doesn't have the leaf shape that make it a good thrower. But in a pinch, I can see that it can throw pretty good. turning it in hand, changing it from saber grip to commando grip to forward push grip. It's very comfortable. It doesn't feel like I'm going to drop it. Although, like I said, the hilt is a little bit on the slim side for my hand. So if you have chunky paws like I do, then this might not be an ideal knife for you. But if you have smaller hand, then this would be a very perfect knife. Now let's go and cut something up. Well, I'm going to relocate to another room, so be forewarned, the lighting is going to change. All right, welcome to my laundry room. We got some cardboard here that we can dispose of. As some of you, those of you that have cats, you know how tough this material is. That's cardboard that used for the cat litter. When you buy cat litter, then it comes in this cardboard box. This thing is really tough, especially when you first try to open it. It has to be because the cat litters are heavy, and you definitely don't want them to leak or the box to rip when you're transporting them. So this is very tough material. Now, um, as you can see, I'm wearing the knife as how I prefer to wear my knife when I am obviously not when I'm going to work. I can't wear it like this, but down the chest like this. When I'm hiking or camping or in anywhere where I'm not going to freak someone out. Um, some of you might have heard this. People say you know someone is a true professional if they wear their knife with the hilt facing downward on the chest like this. I mean, that's a little bit of a more like a ego thing, exaggeration. There are a lot of professionals that don't wear the knife this way. The reason people say you know someone is a professional when they wear the knife like this is when you grab your knife like this, it come out very quickly, and then once you pull it out, you're already at an optimum stabbing angle in a fight. Okay, that's the only reason for that. That is the only reason why people say you're a professional when you wear a knife like that. Now, before I go into cutting up this cat litter container, I want to take this chance because we have a knife here and then we have a target here. I want to take this chance and answer a question that I was asked just last week. Um, Someone asked me, so if I was if I'm a woman and I need to use my knife in self-defense, do I need a lot of strength? Yeah, like how hard do you need to stab? Like to hurt my attacker, I need to stab really hard. I need to have very good strength. Well, no. I mean, that is honestly the whole point of a sharp object. Is you don't need to apply a lot of force. Honestly, when you are using a knife in self-defense, it's not like it's not like what you see in the movies where you see, watch people like no, you don't do that, right? Like you're trying to stab your enemy. You're not trying to hammer steel. You're not trying to drive a nail into the wall. So there's no need for something like like that, right? Okay, you do that, you're more likely to overswing and stab yourself with that, right? So when you're using a knife, especially when you're thinking about self-defense, you need to think about velocity rather than uh, strength. So there should be speed and rather than strength. So I don't have to stab into this target, but I do need to be quick like that. Okay, okay. I'm not even putting any muscle into it. I'm just swinging my hand. I'm just swinging my arm. Right, right, right. Okay, it's just quick, back, back, forward. Okay, you don't need to drive it in with your muscles. Again, you're stabbing a living organism. you're not trying to hammer steel. Okay, so the idea that you need strength to use the knife in self-defense is total nonsense. A knife is one of the greatest equalizer. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about guns because most people here in Canada don't have it. But when you have something sharp like a knife, it's one of the greatest way to equalize force. It doesn't matter how small you are. Uh, as one of another knife uh, expert I listened to before mentioned, if you don't think a knife is scary in the hand of someone who's weak, give a butcher knife to your 8-year-old child and tell him or her to chase you around the house with that butcher knife for half an hour. You will get a whole new level of respect on how scary knife is, even in the hand of someone who is not very strong. Okay, so now that with that out of the way, I think we already see how sharp this is. I mean, look at the stab wound in the cardboard. That's just with me casually swinging my hand, right? But let's say we do need to do some work, and we got to cut down this box. With this, always cut away from you, not toward you, and never force it. Okay? If it's not cutting, either your knife is too dull or your angle is wrong. With the right angle, it slices through like tofu. Well, okay, maybe not exactly like tofu, but you know what I mean. Again, always cut away from you. When they show you that in movies that you got to use a lot of strength for stabbing and cutting, that's just for theatrical. It's just for drama. Like for in reality, honestly, it doesn't take that much to penetrate flesh. Yeah, just see how easily this opened up the cardboard like that. Right? We got the box half dissected already. And because I don't have a lot of working surface here, I'm trying to be very careful. I'm standing back away from the knife, so I'm not going to accidentally overshot and get myself in the leg or anything silly like that. Okay, now when you cut cardboard with your knife, obviously sometimes you're going to mark up your blade. But if honestly, if you get your blade for collection purpose, then obviously you don't want to use it for this. But if you get your blade for utility purpose, then hey, I mean that's what it's supposed to do. So don't worry too much when your blade get marked up by cardboard or wood or plastic or anything like that. As you guys can see, that there's a bit of struggling even with this knife. Okay, and this is a very sharp knife. If you're wondering, I mean, those of you who use a knife already know what I'm doing, but in case that you don't know what this is doing, you can actually use the edge of the cardboard to sort of sharpen your knife or hone your knife while you're cutting. Just scrape along the edge with a cardboard, and that will actually help maintain your knife. It's not the most sophisticated way of sharpening knife, but in a pinch, it is not bad. And of course, when you are sheathing your knife, always be careful, especially if you wear a hilt down like this. Make sure it is in securely, otherwise it is going to slide out and hit your foot on the way down, and you do not want that. Right. So, as our very traditional, very typical three questions at the end of our knife videos. Is this knife a good utility knife? Hell yes. Um, with the exception of the smaller grip being a bit of an issue, even when I was cutting the cardboard, I was noticing that it's a little bit hard for me to apply proper pressure on the hilt because of how narrow it is. But other than that, if your hand is not too big, then it's fine. It's a really good utility knife. If you have worked with the Mora Companion in the past, if you have experience with a Cutco outdoorsman in the past, or the Cold Steel GI Tanto in the past, then it's very similar to how those would feel in hand. Is it a good self-defense knife? Well, like I always say, in a self-defense situation, it's much better to have one than not have one. Any knife can be used for self-defense, but this knife is technically speaking not made for that. But with that said, it has a chunky enough blade, uh, definitely scary enough profile, and it has a very good heft to it. So you can stab, or you can chop, or you can baton. You can whack with the backside, back of the spine of the knife, if that is your thing. And you can switch grip relatively easily, uh, relatively easy. So I think while it is not an ideal fighting knife for me personally, I think for most people it is a lot better than the majority of pocket knife that you're going to find uh, for self-defense purposes. Is it a good survival knife? Maybe as a secondary knife, I think like I would definitely not count on this for my primary like hammering and sawing and chopping wood, and because this doesn't have enough length, doesn't have enough heft to it, doesn't have a cap on the uh, pommel, so you can utilize that. It doesn't have a glass breaker. Uh, it is a very minimalist knife that doesn't have a lot of the features that I would personally want in a survival knife. So if you carry this in the wilderness, then I would say this is good for a backup, a secondary knife, maybe something that you just strap to your pack like the way I do, so you know that if you lose your machete, or your K-bar suddenly fails for some reason, then you at least have this. I mean, for gutting fish, it would be perfectly okay. Maybe skinning animal as well, but anything too heavy, then I think you need something more durable, something heavier than this. Thank you for checking out today's review, and I'll see you guys again later.